chilling hard. And shoot, I just wanted to see how y'all doing. See if people are because I see that you guys are following my videos. I got some new subs. What a weird time to get new subs, right? But this whole pandemic is oddly, you know, right up my alley. It's something that I actually studied, and I have military experience. Uh, I have a degree in health administration, and I worked for the Ohio House of Representatives at one point. So it's kind of falling, like I'm able to forecast, some of what's going to happen. Not always right, but I can pretty much guess around what's going to happen and maybe how long it's going to happen. But we're about to see the worst of it. Now, the government is shutting. Excuse me. The government is shutting down. They're doing what I would call a soft contain. Chicago's governor just said he just issued a stay-at-home order. That stay-at-home order doesn't mean you're locked inside your house. A lot of people don't understand stay-at-home orders. So what he did was he broke it down for you. He said you can still walk your dog, you can still go outside, you can still go to the grocery store. They're not trying to stop you to go from going to the grocery store yet because they need the supply chain still open. But here's what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen in Ohio. Uh, okay, so I hear you, Ray. I hear you, Ray. Here, okay, so let me. I don't know why I have these on. I'm not listening to anything. So let me finish this. Let me say this, Ray. Let me say this is how I think it's gonna go. This is how I think it's gonna go. So you got 40 million people in LA, right? Or in California. They already locked that place down. They got a bunch of regular army, not the weekend warriors. They got a bunch of regular army that rolled in there. They have New York City. Bunch of people, a bunch of regular army rolled into New York City. Uh, some cities in the South too. Some states in the South. Excuse me. So they're rolling into major cities, right? Just to get to meet for, in my eyes, it's almost a test run. It's almost a test run. Now none of us, not unless you're in your 60s, have ever seen this before. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're in your 60s and and up, you haven't seen this before. You might have seen this during the Chicago riots. You know what I'm saying? But you would have to be in your 60s, almost 70 years old, to be a child and understand exactly what happened. Uh, but nonetheless, we've never seen this. This is unprecedented to us. And I'm 52. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think this is a test run on these major cities. I think the soft shutdown is going to turn into a hard shutdown in about a week, maybe less. And I think the only reason why it's not a hard shutdown right now is because of panic. So I think the stores are going to stay open, right? But they're also going to be taken over, like I said, by the military. The military is going to operate those. When that happens, they're going to tell people when to come to the store, when not to come to the store. It's not that the store is not open. It's just that they're going to control the flow of traffic in and out of the stores. And eventually, I think, what might happen is they might tell people don't even come to the store. What I think, uh, uh, what I think in its worst case, I think the military will end up issuing out, rations, or however they're gonna do that. I don't. They're not gonna go door to door. That's ridiculous. But they're like, I think it'll be a where they're gonna tell people do not come outside. Do not. I think it's gonna get that bad. I think it's gonna get that bad. Now, how they're gonna do the whole food thing, I don't know. But as soon as you cut off the food, or you tell people that they can't get food, they're already regulating that because they changed the hours in the store. So they're already starting in on that. They changed our store hours here. The store is not open as long. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when people really start to feel the crunch and really start realizing that these stores are going to stay open, but they're not going to stay open for you to actually go into the store, and they're going to be taken over, I think panic is really going to start setting in. And when panic sets in, that's when this whole thing is going to snowball. And I think it's going to get to where, okay, stay in your house. We'll let you know what block, what district, or however, because everything is sectioned off. They know how many houses, thanks to the census, how many people are in the houses. They know, every county. They can separate each county by street. I mean, they know all of this, but they're going to need a lot of people to do that, especially to regulate it. So I think it might even be done by your device. It might be done by that. Everybody has a cell phone, right? So they may say people in red district can come to the store now and get your food. People in blues district can come to the store now. And if you can't verify that you're in red or blue district, you get turned away. I think this is how it might go. And you can go to a particular store. So let's just say that people in red district live in one part of county. Let's see, you live in Franklin County, right? And red district is Franklin County North area. So you'll take from Cook Road all the way up to 161. Those people are red district, and then you section it off from High Street all the way down to Cleveland Avenue. So you take, that grid right there, and you have maybe 10 stores that are open. You say those people in that area from those 10 stores can go to those 10 stores in between 12 and 5. And being at everybody's home, it's not an issue. You're able to get there. Work isn't stopping you. So they'll go to the store in between 12 and 5, and you'll see these long lines, but they know the numbers. So they're just like, we have 10 stores, we have so many thousands of people. In 5 hours, we can get all those people whatever they need. And then boom, stop. Then re up for maybe 2 hours, and then from 7 to and take another 5 hour section from 7 to boom District Blue. I think it's going to come down to that. I just do. I think they're going to be the ones rationing out. I do. I think this soft shutdown is going to turn into a hard shutdown, and it's going to be regulated. This is my military mind thinking. As soon as a scare is on, that military is going to step up what they're doing. And if you're not on point, if you're not with the program, and there's going to be a lot of people who are not with the program, they're going to arrest you. They're going to arrest you. That's it. They're going to arrest you, and they're going to capture you and take you somewhere. You're not going to be seen for months, maybe years, and in some points, maybe not at all. You're going to be taken away. I think martial law is going to be enforced, and you're going to see tanks rolling down the street because people are going to flip out because not everybody can do that. And when you see this, when you start seeing howitzers, and if you've never seen a howitzer, you don't want to see one. You don't. You don't even want to see a howitzer when it's on your side. You don't, because it's a stark reminder of the destruction that one person can put on a lot of people with just a touch of a button. And it's readily accessible. I used to live on Fort Dix, excuse me, Fort Raleigh. I lived on Fort Dix too, but Fort Raleigh. Fort Raleigh is the third largest fort in US that we have. And this is where they make the tanks. This is where the tank unit is. This is where Big Red 1 is. This is where your Abrams tanks are, or probably were, but this is where the M1 is. When we rolled out for Desert Storm, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of those tanks rolled out. And it completely emptied the whole fort. I was left behind because I worked for the jail system. So I couldn't go anywhere. I tried to roll out with my friend and go to war, but I couldn't go. But when I tell you 44 SIG rolled out, and they rolled out hard, when they took all those tanks, bro, it was like I had no idea how Big Red 1 was until I saw all of those tanks. It ain't nothing to play with. And you're about to see those. See, right now you're seeing Humvees. And you're seeing unarmed Humvees. That's what they're doing now. They just rolled a bunch of Humvees in on tanks. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's how I know it's going to get worse. Here's how I know it's going to get worse. Because those Humvees that you're seeing now, those they're just a prelude to what we saw not even a year ago. We saw a bunch of those tanks before there was a coronavirus, which is the coronavirus is actually a bunch of viruses that are in animals. So it's already out. But this new strand that somebody engineered, is killing people, which is what they meant it to do. But nonetheless, COVID-20, before it was a thing, the military was already setting up for this. This is not an accident. This isn't. I don't mean to get people all panicky and nervous, but this has been in the play. It is. Now, here's another thing. The Humvees that you're seeing, some of them are tan, right? And the other ones are, yeah, there's going to be a limit to our food. Sorry, my nose, you guys. Caught a cold yesterday. There's going to be a limit to the food. And like I said, when they limit the food, that's when people are going to snap. Because some people are going to think that they're not going to get any food. There's going to be a system set up to where you do get food. There is. But some people will not get food, you know. Not everybody can fall in line. Not everybody can live like under that kind of pressure. Not everybody can do that. Those people are going to be taken away. The U.S. military has plenty of facility to house you. Trust me. They can put you in the middle of nowhere and care less. So, like I said, I saw, yep, it's already started. See? So you already know them. You already know what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you right now, the U.S. military is going to take over the store. It's going to happen, people. They're going to take over the store. And that's it, and that's all. This soft, you're allowed to still walk your dog. You're allowed to still go to the grocery store. The people we need for the skeleton crew to, work, and first responders and all this. That's all real. They're gonna do that. But that soft contained, they're like you can still walk around. That's gonna turn into a hard contained real quick. I give it less than a week. it's going to turn into a hard containment. And the only reason why it hasn't done it now is because not everything is in place. But when the military gets in place, when they have the personnel, when they have the equipment, when you start seeing armed vehicles rolling down your street, when you start hearing helicopters, and I don't mean the news, when you start hearing Hueys and Blackhawks and stuff like that, and you will see them. You will see them. When you see a freaking, listen, when you see a gunship, like, when you see a gunship, when you hear those propellers whipping, it is a completely different sound than what you're listening to with the news helicopters. Those little spider helicopters, you know, uh-uh. When you hear a gunship, got 8 people in it, got 2 machine guns on each side, everybody in there is armed. Yeah. See, you're right, and you're right. You're right in the midst of it. You're at a good spot to report what's going on because you're seeing it all. You're everything I'm saying that's gonna happen. You're seeing it actually happen. You're seeing it come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? They're going to soft contain, then they're going to hard contain, then they're going to start snatching people. And then that's when you're going to have people who are reporting the most heinous crimes that's being done. People being thrown in incinerators who are still alive, people being injected and tested, uh, and then all falling up under the coronavirus umbrella. And it's not, you're going to see a lot of that. And that's when it's just going to get real bad. And you already have people breaking into other people's homes. You have the sale of guns going through the roof. Uh, Shoot, I thought about buying an M16 yesterday, not an M16, an AR-15 yesterday, uh, and I don't even think on those levels. But I might have to do it. Shoot, if it's even still there, somebody probably picked it up. Uh, these gun shops are running out of ammo. People have guns but no ammo. It's getting crazy now, and but here's the thing, okay, so I just saw a report of a bus driver in New York City. She was like, listen, the regular army is out here. And she said, are there going to be more of you? And they said yes. So she said, listen, I know a lot of you are hard headed because you know how New Yorkers are. They think they're right all the time and everything isn't all about them. She said, but tell your children, tell your nieces, nephew, all these young kids running around like, crazy. She said, just do what they say. And I told you guys this, what, a week or so ago, even more. That video we had, when the regular army comes out, do not play with them. Well, the regular army is out. They are out. They're out and they're about their business. They have what's called orders. And they will carry those orders out and nothing will stand in their way. And that's it. They'll mow you right down. Now, they're not here to kill a bunch of people, but they are here to take care of business. They have orders that are coming from higher up, and I mean, they're human, but they have orders. And they're going to fulfill those orders. I'm telling you guys right now, these governors coming out with this soft contain, they already know it's about to hit the fan. They already know. They already know that food is going to get low. They already know if they listen. Here's the thing. If they really want to trigger people to start acting a fool, just to capture the people, just to do whatever, get organs from you, do whatever they want with you, just take you and you never show up again. If they really want to do that, all they have to do is stop the supply. That's it. That's it. And if you want to cause panic, to pretty much the whole 400 years of slavery come to. And so this is spiritual. This is spiritual. Yeah, now check it out. Like I said, they're looking for somebody to act up. I know how the army works. I used to be in the army. They're looking for people to act up. Now check it out. All there has to do is be a report of a store that's not getting something essential. Look at what has already happened. When stores ran out of toilet paper, everybody talked about toilet paper. Now stores are getting toilet paper, all over the place. People were fighting over it, right? Hand sanitizer, when that went out, everybody was talking about it. Chicken, everybody, got at the chicken. Now just imagine this. There is no more meat, any type, coming into the grocery store. Just think of what that's going to do. And just think of all Giant Eagle, the whole chain of Giant Eagle, all over the country, done. All Kroger's, done. There's no meat in any of the stores. No chicken, turkey, nothing. Bacon, nothing. No meat. Everybody will be talking about it. And some people will be like, we got to go out and start killing things to get meat because people think you need meat to survive. You know what I'm saying? Now, after that, the farmers that provide all the vegetables. So, what is the main vegetable that everybody has to eat? Pretty much potatoes. Let them stop having potatoes coming to the country. Or not into the country, but into the stores. In every store. See what'll happen. I'm trying to tell you, it'll all go downhill from there. I've seen some of it, but I don't really watch stuff like that. So I'm just saying, let certain things stop coming into the store, and it's already kicked off with toilet paper, but it'll get worse. And the worse it gets, the worse people act, the more the army will step up its whole, whatever they're doing. Now, what's interesting is this same thing happened in Rome back, when Roman Empire was thriving. The emperor at the time did not want to be emperor, so he let his right hand man rule the country or rule the empire, and his right hand man decided that he wanted to be greedy. So what he did was he stopped the supplies of wheat from coming in through Africa, coming in through Egypt. He was like, nah, I'm going to take the supply that's coming in through Egypt and I'm going to store it. So the people in Egypt were still giving him, wheat and stuff like that. What he did was he put it in his own storehouse. So he made the people starve. And the more people starved, the more chaotic they got. His whole plan was to take over being the emperor. He's like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release all of this, food, and people will see that I'm the hero. That was his whole plan, but of course the emperor found out and ended up stabbing him. Then he threw him outside, and then the people ripped him apart, literally. Now, during that time, you know what also was going on? The Black Plague. So people were dying from starvation and the Black Plague. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like something that could happen today? Stop the supply lines. Everybody starts feeling like they're starving. The date in the movie was set in March 20. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, damn. Oh, that's some oh damn right there. Yep, New York gets shut down and the regular army is there. It's going down, people. All right, my nose is running. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. It's going down, folks. Now I have to watch The Purge. I'm going to go and check it out. Know more about it. It's going down, people. It's going down bad. It's going down bad. It's going down real bad. So I think I don't know if The Purge is on Netflix or something, but I'll probably watch it today. I've seen some of it before. I've seen some of it before. Um, the whole thing about going around and killing each other. I'm not really with any of that. Probably why I didn't watch it. But I've seen some of it. I'm not a big fan of, killing each other. I'm just not. But I do understand military tactics. I do understand what's about to happen. I do. You know, I understand, FEMA and the Health Administration. I have an understanding of that because that's what I studied. And I know how they work with the military. And I'm telling you now, you're going to see gunships over your head. And they're going to be armed with weapons that you don't want to mess with at all. And that's them being nice. They don't have to tell you anything. You don't have to see anything. You could just hear a big old explosion and that's it. Them flying over your head is being nice. That's being nice. Trust me, it's being nice. So, yeah, I don't think the purge is about to happen, but I think some people are about to snap out. That's for sure. And yeah, so I think a hard contain is coming because when you start messing with that food, it's gonna be lights out. You got people who went out and bought a bunch of food, and listen, the coronavirus is supposed to have, okay, according to China and in the EU, EU's ground zero right now. The coronavirus is supposed to be about what, 3 months, right? And then you start pulling out of it. They start containing it. All the people who were sick, who didn't die, are getting better. And your death toll is actually the death toll right now in what was ground zero, China, is zero. So no one else is dying in China. However, in Europe, they have more deaths in Europe than they have in China. And it's just like, okay, why is that? Uh, uh, why are more people dying in Europe? So that's just curious. And now here in America, our death toll is starting to go up. Now, what we did see in China, what we had, reports of, is what the government was also doing to the people who had the coronavirus, and how the government was snatching them and, putting them in incinerators and killing people. You did have people who were reporting this. It's very dangerous to report something in China, too, because you see one doctor reported, he reported the coronavirus, he died from it. You had one doctor even earlier than that, he reported he could stop, what was it, AIDS or cancer or something like that. They took him away. You never heard from him again. He genetically improved, the cellular system or something to fight, cancer, I think it was, to fight cancer. And when he did that, that was it. The next day he was gone. He was gone. So it's a danger, to be able to, actually not depend on the government over there to help you fix things. Okay. So we know that they get rid of people. Now, our government is not opposed to any of that. They're just not. They're not, our government is not opposed to wiping out people in mass numbers. We know this because we've seen it, especially if you're black. You've seen it over and over and over again. The government just does not care when they have an agenda. They will wipe you out and then say it's your fault, or they will say it's because of everybody was sick, or they'll just say, it happened and it's over with. Let's move on. That's what they'll do. It was a catastrophe. It was terrible. Let's move on. And people will just move on. Like, you know, so what? So what? Those police officers shot four people and who had nothing to do with the kidnapping of the UPS driver. So you shoot the guy who kidnapped the UPS driver. You shoot the UPS driver and three other people who had nothing to do with it, and one of them was a 70-year-old man. Let's move on. Yeah, don't get your emotions into that. He was 70. He's an innocent bystander. Let's move on. That's how this government is. It happened. He was 70. He was just sitting in his car. Bullet hit him. What are we going to do now? Yeah, he's not getting any better. Let's move on. That's just how they think. So if you think the government won't do that to you, you're fooling yourself. Now the real question is what can we do about it? You can't leave the country because the country's on lockdown. Like you can't leave. You can hide out in a rural area. You can try that. See how that works for you. Some people are heading down to Florida. Hiding out in a rural area in Florida will get you killed faster than being in the city. If you don't know, alligators are for real down there. Anacondas or whatever anacondas too. Large snakes are for real down there because people bought those snakes from wherever they were from when they were babies, and when they got too big, they let them go, flush them down the toilet or whatever. And the thing about snakes is they continue to grow. They don't have a specific, those snakes. They don't have a particular size. They just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. So you have some out there that I believe are probably well over 30 feet. I believe that. The largest one in captivity was 30 feet. I believe that's beat. The largest alligator, saltwater crocodile, the largest of the two is a saltwater crocodile, female. 20 feet, 27 feet, something like that. The largest one in captivity, whether they ever saw, I believe they're larger than that. And eating people is a thing. So hiding out, I mean, I could hide out here in Ohio and live okay. There's deer, you know. You do that for a while until, the government finds you. You try that, you know. Living off the land is hard to do, but you can try it, you know. If you live in the South and you live in the Carolinas or something like that, you could probably hide out, in the woods pretty good. There's some dense woods out there, and it doesn't take much. So you can do that. There's a lot of people who are already living off the grid. There are people living in tiny homes. There are people who are living in buses. Uh, you know, so there are a lot of people who are already off the grid because some people actually saw some of this coming. They were like, the government is not right. I'm living off the grid. I know one lady, she lives in a van with her kid, her son. They both live in a van. So there's that. You can go ahead and do those things, but you're still going to need supplies. You know, you still might have to dork in the door of some kind of supply chain. Yeah, well, we don't have access to any of that. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? I Okay, so I was watching a show on Netflix, right? The show is called 100. And it was how, we blew everything up here on the earth, but we had built a spaceship. And there was a population of people, who jumped on this spaceship and they were, in space. But the supplies in space ran out. The air started to run out, the food started to run out, and they believed that the Earth was still, nuclear toxic. So what they did was they took their youngest people, youngest teenagers. They took their teenagers and said, "We're gonna go ahead and send you guys down to Earth." And they're like, "The Earth is poison." They said, "Well, we think that you guys can survive, so we're gonna send you to Earth." So they sent them to Earth and then come down to Earth and find out that there's a whole population down there thriving, living like Indians, of the days of old, but nonetheless, they're thriving. And then they found out that there was another class of people who lived in bunkers. So you got the people who are living outside, and you got the people who are all living in this huge bunker with military force and all this other stuff, living in this bunker, and they're living good. Food is good. Food's not running out. The whole nine. Living in a bunker, and they've lived there for years, years on end. So it got to the point where they were actually born and raised in there. So they lived there for over 100 years since the war. Problem is, the people that were born in the bunker were not able to go out into the sun and into the air because of the radiation in the air and from the sun. And if the radiation hit them, they immediately got cancer and died within seconds. I mean, it was just and boom, they just died within seconds simply because of the air and the sun. Now, when I think about these people hiding in these bunkers and whatnot, and I've always thought this: you created these arcs to hide into. And yeah, people like me, everyday folk, small folk, yeah, we'll be wiped out quickly. There's no doubt about it. But I still think that there is going to be some type of major problem with those people. I think they're either going to go stir crazy and kill themselves off. There's going to be a push for power, like there always is. Somebody's going to want to be the leader. The young folks are going to rise up against the old folks. There's going to be nowhere to go. You can't escape because there's only so much territory to cover. You'll start killing yourselves off over some stupid misunderstanding. If you look at the civilization of Easter Island, you think about that. There were people who were lived on Easter Island, 640 nautical miles from anything, lived on Easter Island, all gone. Why? They went to war with each other and wiped each other out. Some stupid misunderstanding. They wiped each other out. That's it. Boom. It. Everybody on Easter Island gone. And they were obviously intelligent people. So my whole thing is, if God wants me to go, then there's nothing I can do about it. It's time for me to go. That's the way I'm looking at it. You know, I'm not going to be foolish and go out there and just beg to go. I'm not going to walk in front of traffic and you're not going to do nothing because God said it's not my time. No, but the Lord wants you out of here, then it's time for you to go. But if He doesn't, there is not one thing that man can make or nature can do that's going to take you off the planet if God says you're not going anywhere. And that's just the facts. Those are the facts. So that's just how my whole mentality is on that. Uh, as far as this purge thing is going on, people breaking into folks' houses, I'm thinking I had a storage unit. I had a storage unit. I just, stop using it. I'm really thinking about going and getting another storage unit because the first thing that people are going to do break in your house, they're going to go for your refrigerator, they're going to go for your supplies. But if you got somewhere else where you're storing it, you're like, okay, well, you took that, but you didn't get, a place where I'm keeping all my canned goods and stuff like that, meaning you can still survive. Especially for those of you who don't want to be violent. You have to be if you have to be. But if you're really not looking to get a gun because it's not really you, if you're not really looking to going out and start knocking people upside the head, but you're just all about protecting yourself, then you should have yourself a contingent plan. You really should. While you can still get yourself some MREs. They're military rations to help you survive. They're not the best tasting food, but the packs that they come in, this makes they can literally survive for hundreds of years, and still, when you open it, it's just like day one. Like I said, they're military rations. Look them up. They're called MREs, meals ready to eat, and you can keep them anywhere, and they'll be just fine as long as that bag is not punctured. So, you know, and bugs don't get into them easily and all that other stuff. So if you guys go into survival mode, storage units are still open. Those people are still working. Because you can only hide so much in your house. It's just something to consider. You guys got any questions for me? You guys got any questions for me? Deep underground military bases. Well, yeah, Supreme. We know they have deep underground military bases. They've been had that, and some old crazy. We know they have deep military underground bases. We know this. We don't know where they're at, but we know there is such a thing. Now, in a testament to the U.S. military's engineering squad, you are about to see that now. New York, which is going on lockdown, the death toll in New York is going to go up. It's not necessarily going to be because of the coronavirus, but it's going to be because of the coronavirus. You know what I mean? We know that they've been preparing for this for years. We already see how the police act and how they get away with crime. We already know how the people have been hurted and stuff like that. We also seen last year, or was the year before that? I think it was the year before that, where there was a guy that they arrested and they put him in a bag as if he was sick. When I say put him in a bag, I mean they hog tied him and put his whole body in a bag and zipped the bag up and stood there, broad daylight, and everybody's looking at this and videoing. And I'm like, they're testing. That's a test right there. Why would they put a man in a bag? What does he have? I'm like, that's a test right there. They're testing you. You know what I'm saying? So what I think is going to happen in New York is I think there's going to be people who are just going to come up missing, kind of like when the hurricane came in Texas, right? When that hurricane came, there was a homeless guy saying, and he was outside. Right, we watched him prepare for years. And a homeless guy was hanging outside of the of the shelter, and they asked him. They said, "Why won't you go into the shelter?" He said, "Because they're taking people and they're killing them." This is what the homeless guy said. He said they're killing the people. Now, homeless people aren't stupid. All right, just because you're homeless don't mean you're stupid. It just means that you either choose not to have a home or you're misfortunate. But there's nowhere in there that says that you're stupid. And I believed what the homeless guy was saying. Then they had a video of, these people singing in the Salvation Army and all these other places, and, but there were no people there. But you know who was there? The military. You saw people walking around in military outfits. So we've been seeing this type of thing going on for years, and now it's about to ramp up to its apex. And this is just what I think. I think that there's going to be reports of large amounts of people missing. Large amounts. I think it's not going to. They're not going to shy away from the truth. I think that when they do this, it's going to cause fear. I think they're going to do it because of fear, and it's going to work. They're going to do it because of fear. They want people to be afraid of what happened. Listen, when the police shoot somebody and kill them, and the person is clearly innocent, and then they let that person and they let the police officers, like what they did to Willie, I forgot what his name was. He was a rapper. He was 20-year old rapper. What they did to Willie, they said he was reaching, and then six officers blew him away while he was asleep in his car. He wasn't reaching for anything. He was asleep. They said he had a gun, and they said if he reaches for his gun, we're gonna shoot him. And the guy was still sleeping, and he just happened to move a little bit, and they said he's reaching, and then they blew him away. They executed him. They murdered him. They let those officers go. Now, we've seen this time and time again where officer, shoots people and they let the officer go. This is not an accident. They're doing it because they want you to be afraid of them. They don't, and then they try to, show videos of officers playing basketball with children. No, I don't know. We get it. You can play basketball with the kids and then you can murder their fathers and then come back and play basketball with them. We understand that. We get it. You have the authority to murder, and you want us to think that it's okay. So we get that. That is going to be escalated. What I think the military is going to do, like I said, is take people, and I think that they're not going to hide it. And if you don't fall in line, you're going to be next. Heck, you might be next anyway. It's just what I think is going to happen. Now, I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I'd love to be wrong. But for all the things that we've seen leading up to now, it's just a perfect situation. It's like the perfect situation for them to take advantage of, one, the overpopulation, Georgia Guidestones. Two, experimentation. We know the coronavirus is not natural. The coronavirus was not made to be airborne. It was just something that was in animals. We know the coronavirus is not new. You can look at the back of Lysol cans and see talk about the coronavirus. It's not one virus. It's a bunch of different viruses that are in animals' blood. Like we know all this. It's engineered. It's engineered. And why would you engineer something that can kill millions of millions? Listen, they said 6%. Listen, when the coronavirus first came out, it was killing 1% of the people it infected. One. Right now, it's at 4.5. One doctor estimated 6% of the population of the people that it infects. which is roughly 450 million. Why would you engineer something that can do that? Just why? When you start looking at the facts and start looking at the numbers and the statistics, when you start getting into deep into it, the true numbers, not hype, not hyperbole, not conjecture, not hearsay. When you start getting the true numbers, when you start digging and looking at the CDC, World Health Organization, even your local government, I even reached out to people on Facebook and said, I don't think that you know or you know of anybody that has the virus. And one person came back and says, I do know somebody who has the virus. She said her friend's nephew has the virus and they are in the hospital. Now, I took a lot of things from that. One, okay, the virus is real because I know this woman and she's a very nice person. She's not going to, lie. Two, just a week and a half ago, it was 2 hours from, where I live. Now it's next door. It's pretty much next door. And I think actually somebody in my county has died from it. Uh, so now that I know that it's definitely real and all the stuff you're seeing on TV is not just stuff you're seeing. Yeah, there's always a person that they know that has that have the virus, right? Because I was thinking, because people kept saying it's a hoax, and I was like, okay, I'm in survival mode, so I got what I need. I locked down for 3 months. I'm okay. I may need to go and get small provisions, but I'm okay. I got food and water. So I start thinking, who has it? Like, does anybody know anybody that has it? So, that's why I posted that. And they were like, yeah, I know somebody that has it. So that's a reality check for me. Okay, fine. We know somebody that has it. Boom. There that is. Check that right off. Okay, still go to the store and get, because it's about, it's real now. It's not just news. It's not just CNN. Okay, boom. It's real. Make sure you're good. We're right back to the store after that. Like, let me get something else. But when you start seeing the military roll in and all these people start talking about the military, which I knew was going to happen, now the reality is not so much of the fear of COVID-19 or COVID-20. I don't really have fear of that. I have respect for it. If I get it, will I be okay? You know what I'm saying? Okay, fine. But the fear of the military is even more in my face. The fear of the military taking over. You're not looking at these tan Humvees just rolling into your spot. You're looking at black. And then you're looking at them jumping out of vans and stuff like that. So so it's not just Humvees pulling up to your spot. They're using civilian vehicles and yeah, more for fear of the government. Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, you don't want to get coronavirus, but you don't want to get the flu either. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get the flu. Most people are surviving the coronavirus. Most people survive the flu. People die of the flu every year. People are going to die from the coronavirus. Okay, fine. But for those people who survive, you know, you still, even if you get it and then it dissipates, your system fought it. Now you're looking at the military like this a whole different project because this just ain't going to go away. That's the, if the military spends millions and millions and millions of dollars for all that equipment, tanks, Humvees, personnel, for all that. Listen, they don't do nothing for nothing. They're very efficient. They just don't. Next thing you know, you're gonna see GP mediums and GP larges, which are tents. You're gonna see those set up, without camouflage, because you don't need it. But you're going to see those set up. You're going to see mobile operations and things along that line. Of course, they can just take over buildings and things along that line, but the military is very mobile. So you might see them in large tents in one area, set up in a Walmart parking lot, for some odd reason because they need that space to operate, but they still need Walmart to be open and still doing what they're doing. You might see something like that, uh, and it doesn't take them long. We used to go on what's called a bivouac. Uh, a military bivouac is a 3 day, pretty much camping. You know, That's what you do. But what you do is you walk 20 miles to wherever you're going to go. Then you set up camp. And, it's amazing how fast you can set up a whole army in an area where there was not one single person. It's just, it just, when they say we do more before 9 o'clock than you do all day, that is an understatement. That's an understatement. I'm just telling you right now, it is very real. I've had where the events they say going to the field. So when they say you're going to the field, this is a military operation, costs millions of dollars, where a whole unit is about to go out into the field. They have a designated area, and you're about to play army. And you have your deuce and a halves or deuce and a quarters, what people call them, their trucks, and you pack that truck with whatever your unit has. I was in food service. I was a 94B. So we are the kitchen. We're the food supply. You can't if the army can't eat, it ain't going nowhere. And Napoleon found that out real quick. Uh, or if your army is ill prepared, which he found out when he tried to march up into Russia and froze. But nonetheless, when uh, we were going to the field, we had to have two deuce and a halves. So we had a GP medium, GP large, and then other small tents, and we also had what's called a mobile kitchen, which is an MKT. So we would pack up all our stuff. We all knew who was going, who wasn't. We would have our rations for the time that we're going to be there. We get our location, and we would show up like 3 or 4 in the morning. All right. And when we showed up, pitch black, you know what I'm saying? We were able to set everything up by 8:30 and have food cooked and was already feeding our soldiers. This is GP large, GP medium, MKT. Everything was camouflaged. Everything. It worked like clockwork. Everything. Bam, 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 bam. 8:30, people start coming through the line. We had already had it cooked and ready. People start coming and we rationing it out. Boom, 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 boom. Come 9 o'clock, we were chilling. We were just cleaning up, doing a little bit of cleanups, and we were just waiting on lunch. Lunch, we fed them MREs. Boom, here's your lunch. They come through, they get MREs, open them up, eat them, boom, and then we'd start cooking dinner. It works like clockwork, people. There is no flaw in it. They can move in and set up a whole military in your city overnight. Overnight. And I mean overnight. They can have a whole army right there and contain a whole city within no time if they really wanted to. Like I said, right now what you're looking at is a soft contain. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at, stay home, but you can still walk outside and go to the store. Those things are going to change. And when they change, you're going to see more military personnel. And they're going to be regular Army. They're going to be regular Army, uh, ready to carry out the orders of some, high ranking officer. You'll start seeing a lot of NCOs, which are sergeants. They'll have three stripes. Uh, 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 you could look up what the military looks like. But nonetheless, when you start hearing people calling other people sergeant, you'll already know the deal. You will hear this, sergeant, and then they'll so you'll hear E5, which is a sergeant, E6, which is a staff sergeant, E7, which is a I forgot what an E7 is, but then when you see an E8, that's a big boy right there. That guy runs a whole unit. An E7 can run a unit, but an E8, that's a big boy. And especially if he has a diamond in the middle of it, that means he is the head of a company, or she. They are the head of a full company. If you see that, you hear some, like I said, if you look up military ranking and you look it up and you look up E8, if you look up an E8 and you see that and a guy has a diamond in the middle of it, that is a big boy there. That means there's a full company in your area. And I have no doubt in my military mind you're going to see that. And they'll be accompanied by a captain because the captain, is reporting to the officers. So you'll have a non-commissioned officer and you'll have a commissioned officer. The commissioned officer is going to be a lieutenant, second lieutenant, lieutenant, second lieutenant is going to be gold bar, lieutenant is going to be a silver bar, 2 bars is going to be a captain. After that, you're going to have a colonel and no, after that, you're a captain. Then you're going to have a major. That's a gold leaf. You're going to have a gold leaf. Then you're going to have a silver leaf, which is a lieutenant colonel. Then you'll have a bird, a full bird. That is a colonel. Then you'll have a 1 star. That's a general. You'll have a 1 star, and then it goes all the way up to 4 stars or 5 stars. But you probably won't see a 5 star. You might in New York, but they don't come out much because they're in Washington. So you usually don't see those guys. But you might see a 2 star. If you see a 2 star, you have more than one. If you see a 2 star or a 1 star, you don't have a company in your area. You have a battalion, which is an assortment of companies. Uh, you a battalion, you're probably looking at 20,000, maybe more, at his disposal easily. If you count how many people are on Fort Dix or any Fort Benning, you can imagine a whole fort rolling out. That is a battalion. So just to let you guys know who are not military what to expect, if you see certain rankings, you kind of can project the events of and the importance of the lower military that's in your midst. You see somebody with just a single stripe. That person is brand new. That person is a private, just got out of basic training, thrown right into the fray. You see somebody with like a full, well, like I said, look up military. So you got your E1, E2, your E3, then you got your Spec 4, and then you got your sergeants. Most likely, you're going to see, just walking around, you're going to see E1s all the way up to Spec 4s. Right? And then, of course, you have your corporals. They have actually 2 stripes. They're, yeah, 2 stripes together. Now, if you are in close proximity and you hear them talking, and they say "sir," that person is a commissioned officer. If you hear them say "sergeant," that is an NCO. That's a non-commissioned officer. But if you hear them say "sir" um, and they don't salute this individual, it's a good chance that that individual is a specialist. Usually, when they say "sir," they'll salute them. That's protocol. But there are specialists who are in between NCO and if they say don't leave the house and you leave, will they detain your killers? They're going to detain you. They're going to detain you. And it all depends on how aggressive they need to detain you. Most likely, they'll tell you just to go home until they, have some type of orders to detain you and then arrest you. So let me explain some of this. The jail system that is set up, the jail system that's set up, all these new jails that they built, it is a good chance that some of those can be converted for military personnel or arrested federally. So you got to understand, if a military person arrests you, this is what I think. You guys can check this, back check this for me. I think you're federally arrested. I'm pretty sure of that. If they arrest it, because it's a federal issue, you're federally arrested. Now, if you've never been into the prison system or into the jail system, if you're going there, I think with an orange band, that's a federal crime, I think. So when you're federally arrested, there is no speedy trial. They can keep you in there for years without even talking to you. They just don't have to. So this is why listening to them is so important, because if they say don't go nowhere and you go somewhere and they just tell you to go home, that's one thing. But if you start hearing reports of people getting arrested and taken away, you have to understand that according to the law, they can put you in a jail cell. There's a regular jail cell. They can put you in there and leave you in there for years without talking to you. This is not what you want. It's so different from a civilian crime because there's speedy trials. So you get people who say you go in for speeding, right? The cop arrests you for speeding, which they can. You get arrested for speeding for excessive speeding, right? So you're in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, you're doing 80 miles an hour. That's excessive. So you go in, you see a judge within, it used to be 2 days, now it's mandatory 7. Then you see a judge after that 7 days. If you go outside when the federal government tells you not to go outside, you get arrested, you might be in there for 2 years before you even see a judge. You see what I mean? This is why it's so important to listen to what they say, because you don't want to fight. You don't want to fight with them, and you don't want to fight with them in trial because you're in there for 2 years and nobody said anything to you. You don't know how much longer you're going to be in there. Your rights are they're just different rights when it comes to being in there federally, not just in a federal prison, because you can just be in a regular jail for a federal crime. You see what I mean? So it's just a complete different thing. You did something that the federal government said, okay, now you're under arrest. So this is not something to play with. Not at all. Not at all. I'm not trying to strike fear into you guys' hearts. I'm trying to get you guys to understand what you're up against when you start seeing those uniforms. And that's it. I'm trying to get you, because when you don't have experience with the military and they have been fighting for you since you have respect for them, but you don't have fear of them. You know what I mean? You don't think, they're going to turn their M16 on me. You don't think that. Well, now you need to start thinking that. You need to start looking at the what ifs. You need to start looking at the possible, what if I have to get away from them? What if they are capturing people, God forbid? And what if I'm innocent and then they try to arrest me? What do I do? How can I get away from them? Or, what if they are coming and taking innocent people out of their homes? What if they are arresting innocent people on the side of the road and taking them away and we don't hear from them? What do I do? How do I function? Where do I go? So all these things you need to start thinking about because it's possible because we're talking about the government. And listen, I'm not an anti-government person. I believe there should be a governing class. But I think that governing class should be for the people, by the people. I don't think that government should ever have the power to turn on the people. You see what I mean? I don't think it should, I think it should be for the people, by the people. I don't think they should ever have the power. I mean, some of the stuff that the government does, I'm not really understanding. Like all the taxes that they have. They tax you when you get your money, they tax you when you spend your money. I mean, if you're going to tax us, just tax us once. You tax us, 7 cents on a dollar for purchasing an item. And then when we go, and when we get our money from our paychecks, you have ridiculous taxes from 22% all the way up to 40%. I mean, that's ridiculous. So you're taxing us coming and going. You tax everything we do. Tax, tax, tax. So the government is getting all this money. Listen, they're not getting all that money for the people. $560 billion spent on military uh, equipment. We're the most funded military. We have the biggest military. We're the baddest military on the planet. But I'm convinced it's not for the people. You didn't go to Iran for the people. What are we doing in Iran? You didn't go over there because, the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. You didn't go over there because you fear that they're going against the Geneva Convention and they're building nuclear your weapons. That's not why you're there. They're not there for the people. So I believe we should have a military, but I don't believe that we should have a military that has the power to go against its own people. Because we've seen this time and time again where a president is picked by the people, then you have military leaders, and then the military leaders take over the presidency. And, this is how Napoleon came into power. Just took over he was a military leader. He's just like, I'm just going to take over. And he used his military, and that's what he did. He took over. This is how a lot of other rulers do. They have the military, they take over. So, anybody got any questions for me? How about the banks? How much money do you have in the bank? That's not a literal question. How much money do you have in the bank? Couple thousand? Couple hundred? How long do you think you'll have access to that? How long do you think you'll have access to that money? What if you couldn't use your bank card right now? What would you do? How much money do you have in your pocket? Do you have a piggy bank? You got a piggy bank? Some of these quarters are actually real silver. I don't know which ones though. Do you have any gold? Gold, silver? You know the Roman Emperor Constantine, right? Constantine was, for one, he was in the wrong country. He was trying to hold on to Constantinople before it became Istanbul. So his ancestors that conquered that land, and made that city and that area, they were like, we're going to keep it. But the people, the Muslims who are actually from there, were like, you need to get out of here. And so they built this city and they built these walls that nothing can break down until the Sultan at that time, the young Sultan, he's like 21, decided he wanted to get rid of the Romans that were in Constantinople. He's like, I want to get rid of them. So, long story short, he wins the war. He breaks the walls down by using these huge cannons, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, while Constantine was losing, he had an advisor, and his advisor uh, was pretty much giving him the wrong advice because he was working his hand for the Sultan, basically, what he was doing. And he was consulting with the Sultan's advisor. Now, they had Genovese soldiers fighting with the Romans. They were pretty much mercenaries. Even today, if you hire a mercenary, you have to pay them well. So these soldiers, now this is not the Roman army, because the Roman army would have beat the Sultan. So they had to fight with what they had, right? So these mercenaries that they hired came in and they were kicking butt, kicking butt and taking names. Then they started to run out of money. They started to run out of money. The thing about it was the advisor had a whole bunch of money. And when they were having a meeting, they actually, said, why don't you pay the soldiers so they can keep fighting? And he said some cockamamie excuse like he didn't have any money or whatever in the heck. Anyways, when the city fell, the Roman Emperor Constantine fell with the city, and the advisor hid until the smoke cleared. And the new, well, not the emperor, but the Sultan came and sat in the seat where the emperor once sat. And in comes the advisor for the Romans with a whole box full of coins. The moral of the story is, and they end up killing him and the other advisor. But the moral of the story is, the coins that he had, the coins that the emperor had, were like really, really small. They were almost worthless pennies. Worthless. But the coins that the advisor had, they were these real huge, nice coins, just a whole box. He was rich. And he held that money because he knew that they were going to lose. And he was like, you're going to lose, and I'm going to give this money to the Sultan when he kills everybody, which is what they did. Well, almost everybody. A bunch of people got away on ships. And then, of course, they beheaded him. because they found out he was a traitor. Coins, silver, gold. I think these will always be valuable. So if you have any, you know, or if you can get yourself some, now's not a bad time. I'm not saying go and spend a bunch of money to buy silver and gold. I'm saying if you can get a hold of it and or if you have it, it's very, very valuable. Keep a hold of it. All right, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and go. And stay safe out there. Take the military very serious, even if they're smiling in your face. Just take them serious. They're not your friends. And listen to what they say. It's your boy Tone 202. God loves you, so do I.